Ake Kaneshita, a university girl, breaks up with her boyfriend, Takuma, when he tells her that he is in love with another girl. At home, her friend, Momo, inquires about her breakup, and Ake tells her that Takuma left her for a girl he met in an online game, Forest of Savior, the same game Takuma had gotten her into when they had started dating. Momo, after consoling her, tells Ake not to stay inside all day crying. After she leaves, Ake logs into FOS and finds out that Takuma has already unfriended her. Heartbroken, she starts to take out her frustration on the monsters in the game. As she beats them up, a player from her guild named Yamada walks up to her, asking if she's looking for a seer stone. Intrigued, Ake tries to talk to him about her breakup, but Yamada, completely uninterested in her, asks if he can set up camp in her location to look for the stone. Offended, she tells Yamada to find somewhere else to camp, to which he agrees, telling her he doesn't care about her issues. Suddenly, a notification appears telling Ake that there will be a live FOS event near her. Realizing that Takuma is going to be there as well, Ake persuades Momo to go clothes shopping with her and eagerly sets off toward the event with the goal of belittling Takuma for dumping her. Spotting Takuma at the event with his girlfriend, Ake tries to chase after him but bumps into someone and falls. Cursing herself, Ake looks back and sees a handsome boy looking down at her holding her shoe. She starts to apologize and blab, but the boy tells her that he's not interested and starts to leave. Noticing he talks just like Yamada, Ake asks and confirms his identity, but Yamada remains entirely unaware of who she is. Suddenly, Takuma rushes over to Yamada, telling him that he's a big fan and introduces his new girlfriend. Noticing Ake, Takuma asks what she's doing there, and she blurts out that Yamada is her boyfriend, but he corrects her, saying he's not. Ake begs Yamada to play along with her and hands him a coupon for a seer stone, making him instantly jump on board. Later that night, as Ake sits in a bar with Yamada and starts to cry, asking if he has a girlfriend, to which Yamada tells her he doesn't understand romance. As she goes to the restroom, Ake tells him to wait for her. However, upon returning, she finds him gone. Thinking that he got tired of her and left, Ake begins to cry, but suddenly Yamada calls out to her, telling he went to get some band-aids since she was hurt and put one on her feet. Seeing Yamada's kindness, Ake tells him that he can eat anything he wants. The next day, Ake wakes up with a massive headache. Hearing someone talk near her, she gets up and much to her shock realizes that she's in Yamada's room. Seeing that she's in shock, Yamada tells her that since she was drunk and he didn't know where she lived, he brought her here to his home. Furthermore, she threw up all over his mattress as well. Feeling embarrassed, Ake quickly leaves. At home, after taking a shower, she realizes that the necklace she had gotten from Takuma is missing. Since that was the first ever gift she had gotten from Takuma, Ake didn't want to lose it. After looking everywhere for it, Ake realizes that she must have left it at Yamada's home. As Ake logs into FOS, the guild master, Worry, enthusiastically greets her. Ake, feeling stressed, tells Worry about the necklace, but right at that moment, Yamada logs in as well. As Worry and Yamada start talking about the game, Ake starts to feel out of place. She messages Yamada directly asking about her necklace, but Yamada has no idea about it. Looking at the guild inventory, Yamada scoffs in disgust after noticing that it's filled with pathetic items. Worry tells him that someone else might have put them there. Ake, listening in on their conversation, tells them that she put them there to help out the new players. Yamada emotionlessly tells her not to cling to everything she comes across, while Worry tells him not to be rude. Ake logs out feeling hurt. Later, as Yamada gets out of his chair, he accidentally steps on Ake's necklace and breaks it. A few days later, Ake runs into Yamada at the train station. He hands her necklace back, apologizing for breaking it. Ake tells him that she was going to throw it out anyway and starts to run away, but Yamada catches up to her and hands her an umbrella, telling her to keep it. That evening, with Momo's help, Ake comes to terms with the truth in Yamada's words and throws her unnecessary belongings before heading out for drinks with Momo. Late at night, they both, drunk, walk to Yamada's house and ring his bell to return his umbrella. Yamada, annoyed, tells them that he's close to calling the police. Ake, pulling away Momo from him, thanks Yamada for everything and starts to leave. However, Yamada stops her and tells her that Worry is worried about her and that she should log in, to which she happily agrees. Momo arranges a group date for Ake, hoping to introduce her to a potential partner. However, during the date, Ake appears agitated and distracted by her phone, leading to an awkward conversation with the man. As they leave, Ake tells her that she was talking to Worry, a girl from her guild. Momo tells her that she has no idea who Worry is in real life and can be a middle-aged man as well. Back home, Ake eagerly logs into her game to discard romance from her mind. She finds Yamada and Worry online, talking alone about how they started the guild together. Akane begins to wonder if Yamada and Rory are dating in real life since they seem so close and maybe they had started playing just like her and Takuma. She wonders if Yamada might have lied to her the other day about not having a girlfriend. Later, as Akane spends the day preoccupied with the possibility of Rory and Yamada being in a relationship, she runs into the person from her double date. They walk to the train station where Akane spots a girl resembling Rory's in-game character. Following her, she notices Yamada approach the girl and they leave together, making her feel empty. Returning home, she logs into FOS and notices that Rory has invited her and other guild members to a Forest of Savior-themed cafe in real life, including Yamada, fueling Akane's desire to confirm their relationship. The next day, Akane feels fine despite Momo's concerns about meeting new people. Excited to meet her guild members, especially Yamada, she heads to the train station but gets lost. A friendly guy in glasses, Ida Sasaki, approaches her, seeing that she's going to the same place as him and tags along with her. Approaching the cafe, Akane spots the girl from before waving across the road, with Yamada nearby talking to an elderly man. She first extends a warm greeting to Yamada, and then approaches a girl whom she believes to be Rory with equal enthusiasm. However, the girl's response is a cold, unyielding stare, leaving her perplexed as to why this real-life encounter is so markedly different from her expectations. The girl, Runa Sasaki, tells Akane that she's not Rory. Ida takes charge, introducing himself as Ida Sasaki, 19 years old, and the in-game Princess Rory, making Akane realize that he's a nakama. The elderly person, who's a strawberry farmer, introduces himself as Takizo. Next is Runa Sasaki, Ida's little sister, whom he based his in-game character on. Finally, Ida introduces Yamada, the only person Akane knows from the guild meeting. Runa observes Akane and Yamada, irritated by how friendly Akane is with him. Akane speaks with Yamada to clear misunderstandings, revealing she thought Yamada and Rory were romantically involved due to their in-game behavior. Yamada clarifies Ida is just a friend from his hometown whom he occasionally plays with, especially when Ida struggles. Akane admits she suspected Yamada of lying about having no girlfriend, to which Yamada reassures her of the truth. Runa blurts out if Akane is in love with Yamada, making Ida intervene quickly. Akane, while meeting Yamada's gaze, drops her glass. Despite offering to clean it up, Yamada advises against it due to potential danger. As their hands touch, Akane quickly looks away, embarrassed. Yamada becomes uneasy with the situation and excuses himself for a phone call, and Ida follows him. Takizo notices Akane's distress and tries to change the topic while Runa stares daggers at her. Ida accompanies Yamada outside and questions his false reason for the call. Yamada admits leaving because of Akane's glare, making him laugh. Ida tells him that the reason she looked away was because she was embarrassed. As the meeting ends, Runa vows to throw Akane out of the guild. Subsequently, Akane and Yamada find themselves sharing a train journey back home. Akane takes the initiative to strike up a conversation, to which Yamada offers brief replies. She then notices people, mostly women, staring at her. Suddenly, the train stops, causing Akane to collide with Yamada. In that moment, she hesitates briefly, but ultimately accepts his gesture to switch seats, realizing that the women on the train are actually captivated by Yamada. They then visit a convenience store as Yamada buys a pudding for dinner. Curious, Akane asks what he likes to eat. Yamada misunderstands and mentions buying convenience store food. Concerned, Akane asks him to wait at a nearby park while she runs off home to get some food. Yamada recalls Akane being down due to her ex-boyfriend, but her current positive attitude makes him think that she has moved on. Suddenly, Akane rushes back into the scene slightly out of breath, with a homemade curry and rice in hand, offering it as a thoughtful packed lunch. Yamada tries to decline but is interrupted by Runa's call. Runa apologizes to Akane and invites her to hang out again, which Akane happily accepts. She then shares the delightful news with Yamada, who responds with a warm smile in response to her joyful expression. Later, looking at his calendar, Yamada notices that he has to tutor Runa on the same day she's meeting Akane. Akane arrives at the decided location and finds a strange man instead of Runa. The man, mistaking her for Rory, starts to list out the things he finds admiring about her, making her feel trapped. She excuses herself and goes to the bathroom to contact Runa, but the man follows her. Meanwhile, Yamada goes to Runa's home and is puzzled when he finds her there. Meanwhile, the man, expressing his concern for her, tries to enter the bathroom stall where Akane is hiding. Initially denying it, Runa eventually confesses to Yamada that she sent an ardent fan of Rory to meet with Akane instead. Yamada quickly cancels the tutoring session and contacts others. After Ida looks over his account to see who Runa sent after Akane, Takizo quickly arrives, distressed that Akane might be in danger, and they quickly leave in Takizo's car. While Runa tells them that she has no plans of apologizing, but Ida tells her that Akane was only trying to be her friend. Finally arriving, they find Akane with the stranger. Takizo grabs the man by the collar and threatens to sue him. Ida checks on Akane and notices a bandage on her leg. The man tells them that Akane was feeling unwell, so he brought her medicine, but she ended up hurting herself in the bathroom. Yamada expresses his apologies to Akane for not informing her in advance about his tutoring session with Runa. Upon hearing this, Runa, overwhelmed by guilt, hastily departs from the scene. Akane tries to go after her but ends up hitting her leg again. Runa, noticing that she's hurt, quickly rushes back to Akane's side. As Ida tells her that she's going to get an earful, Runa looks at Yamada, who simply backs away, not wanting to help her. Just as he's about to give her a lecture, Akane pretends to have a stomach ache and sends everyone to the pharmacy. With the two of them left alone, Akane starts to talk with Runa about the game and asks if they can go hunting together. Runa, seeing how friendly she is, starts to cry, expecting Akane to scold her for her actions, but she leaves the lecturing to Ida. As the boys finally return, they find Akane comforting Runa. While Takizo asks if Akane's stomach is feeling better, Yamada cannot help but stare at Akane as she smiles. Runa's life at home is like that of a princess, but she finds it challenging to connect with her female classmates. Nevertheless, she doesn't mind having only a few in-person friends since she has plenty of online friends. Being an attractive girl from the Sasaki family, the boys at Runa school fawn over her, but growing up with handsome boys like Yamada and her brother cause her standards to skyrocket. Noticing her classmates performing a street dance, Runa shares it with her online guild and decides to watch rather than join in. While visiting Akane's home, Runa tries to tell her about the dance she saw, but seeing her distracted by the phone starts to annoy her. However, Akane quickly apologizes to her and takes her to see her favorite actor filming a scene for a movie nearby. As they watch the shoot and dance, Runa finds the event to be even more enjoyable with friends like Akane. Later, Momo suggests a group date with Akane, who is engrossed in gaming with Runa. Momo praises Akane's luck in meeting Yamada, noting his unexpectedly nice behavior, though he often finds gaming with Akane boring. Runa tells Momo that she should leave if she's bored since this isn't her home, but one angry look from Momo scares the life out of her. Runa helps Akane level up quickly in the game Forest of Savior, and when Yamada offers help, Akane declines, determined to do her best. Suddenly, Akane's computer fizzles out and starts to emit smoke. Worried, Runa informs her brother Ida of the situation and that Akane won't be able to play FOS with them. The next day, Runa and Yamada visit Akane's house to fix her computer. Initially reluctant, Yamada changes his mind when he sees Akane's dedication to leveling up. Meanwhile, Akane prepares snacks, which Yamada surprisingly accepts. As they sit down to have some snacks, Runa secretly takes a picture of Yamada and Akane and sends it to her brother, who suggests helping them get closer. Runa observes the two chatting and formulates a plan to create a romantic comedy scenario. Runa pushes Akane, throwing him on Yamada. As she gets back up in anger, Akane smacks her hair in Yamada's eye. Worried that he's hurt, she quickly grabs his face and leans in to see if he's alright. As Yamada stares into her eyes, he starts to feel flustered and quickly leaves to get more tools, making them wonder if he's trying to escape. Returning to Akane's house after getting the tools, Yamada finds both Akane and Runa asleep, while a plate of food is waiting for him. Yamada quietly sits down to work, making sure not to wake them up. Looking at Akane as she sleeps, Yamada notices that she has tied her hair. He gently reaches out and unclips her hair. As he stares at her, the doorbell rings. Yamada opens the door and notices Takuma waiting outside. Surprised, Takuma introduces himself as a fan and grows curious about why Yamada is there. He begins to suspect Yamada might really be Akane's boyfriend, but he's never seen Yamada with any women on his social media. He hands bento boxes that Akane had given him, telling Yamada to not tell Akane about it. Yamada, knowing that he's there to see if Akane is okay, assures Takuma that she is well. As Takuma leaves, Akane opens the door. Yamada returns the bento boxes, claiming they mysteriously appeared, making her laugh. He hands her hair clip back as well, telling her that he took it off without any reason. Later, wanting to pay for the repairs, Akane takes up a part-time job at a convenience store. Akane logs into FOS and parties up with Ida and Takizo, the submaster of their guild. She inquires about the cost of repairing her laptop, but Ida tells her not to worry as the parts were secondhand anyway. At school, as Yamada throws away the trash, he notices the girls staring at him. Akamoto, his class fellow, invites him to participate in a school pageant, an offer Yamada had consistently declined for years. Returning to the classroom, Yamada discovers his phone has been muffled with a towel by Tsubaki, who tells him that she saw his stream, and that his performance has gotten worse ever since he started playing MMO. Yamada attempts to explain that the lag caused the issue, yet Tsubaki quickly dismisses it as a mere excuse. Checking his phone, Yamada receives a guild announcement from Ida informing them about Tauside Academy Public Culture Festival and advising Yamada to secure tickets for the event, mentioning that Akane is one of the sponsors. Akane joins Ida, Takizo, and Runa as they explore Tauside Academy during the festival. After parting ways with Ida and Takizo, who venture into the haunted house, Akane and Runa continue their stroll together. Feeling nervous, Runa excuses herself to use the restroom. While Akane waits outside, she receives a text from Ida to meet in the courtyard within 15 minutes. Spotting Yamada, Akane decides not to bother him since he seems busy and would have noticed her anyway. Yamada, excusing himself from his classmates, rushes over to Akane, surprising her. He explains that he saw her earlier but couldn't come since he was busy. As they talk, everyone starts to stare at them. Runa, accompanied by Akane and Yamada, heads to the nurse's office where she is advised to rest. Runa notices Yamada using his phone and learns that he's updating Ida about her condition. Worried that he'll send her home, Runa implores Yamada not to inform Ida about her, explaining she hasn't eaten in anticipation of the festival. Akane then offers to buy her some food. Leaving Runa in the nurse's office, Yamada and Akane head out to buy the things she had requested. Seeing that the girls are staring daggers at her, Akane takes the lead to minimize attention. They encounter Yamada's teacher, who teases him for bringing a girl along and jokingly inquires about Akane's school. A group of first-year students questions their relationship and Akane clarifies they're not dating. While leaving the building, they meet Ida and Takizo. Ida asks about Runa's well-being, while Akane vents her frustration about the stares and gossip they face for being together with Yamada. Ida jokingly suggests they should date, to which Yamada agrees, making Akane flustered. She then dashes off, declaring her intent to purchase the items on her own. Ida attempts to offer an apology, yet Yamada swiftly pursues her. Regretting her actions, Akane accidentally runs into Tsubaki, who advises her to walk carefully. Akane notices Yamada following her and tries to get away, but Yamada rushes after her, surprising Tsubaki. Finally catching up, Yamada apologizes and Akane points out it's the first time he called her by her first name. As she pulls him to a more secluded area, Yamada apologizes again for Ida's joke, to which Akane clarifies she's not angry but slightly embarrassed. Akane inquires about how Yamada would have responded had she genuinely considered Ida's jest and agreed to go on a date with him. Yamada pauses briefly to contemplate this scenario, prompting Akane to swiftly withdraw her statement, passing it off as a jest. After a moment's reflection, Yamada responds by expressing that it would have been an honor for him, while also humbly suggesting that she is beyond his league. After finishing her shift, Akane and Yamada leave the store together. Akane, looking at Yamada, thinks it's best if she doesn't develop any romantic feelings for him. Akane sneezes as a cyclist passes by, making Yamada pull her out of harm's way. As she puts on a mask, Yamada tells her to be careful and not catch a cold. Later, Akane gets a message from Runa, who wants to meet her. While at the park, Runa openly shares her concerns about the guild's new female member. Akane, on the other hand, encourages her to keep an open mind, suggesting that they could become friends. As a gesture of goodwill, Runa passes Yamada contact information to Akane and asks her to verify it herself. Passing by Kawaii Cram's school, Tsubaki overhears gossip about an unnamed couple and discusses the possibility of overcoming obstacles to be together with Okamoto and Yamada. They admit they're not qualified to answer such questions, as they've never had girlfriends due to their dedication to video games. Tsubaki then thanks Yamada for introducing her to his guild master, while Okamoto playfully teases Yamada when he receives an unknown phone call, but Tsubaki defends him, saying he struggles with matters of the heart. After their classes, Yamada calls the unknown number. Akane's phone rings, displaying Yamada's caller ID, and she promptly picks up the call. Yamada begins by apologizing for his delayed response, and Akane, in turn, informs him that she received his number from Runa. However, amidst her preparations for a night shift, she forgot her reason to call him. While waiting for Okamoto outside a restaurant chain, Tsubaki inquires about the girl Yamada was talking to earlier during the cultural festival. Yamada tells her that she is part of their guild in the FOS. Tsubaki asks about Akane and what kind of person she is. Yamada ponders silently, recalling Akane's occasional silly expressions and imagining her smiling at him. Tsubaki then asks if Yamada likes her, but he remains silent. Later, while Yamada tutors Runa for her exams, Akane calls her to tell her she won't be able to play today. Surprising her with her hoarse voice, Runa ends the call, wondering if she'll be alright. Back at her apartment, Akane attempts to drink water but ends up spitting it out since she can't swallow it. Feeling hungry, she decides to go to the convenience store to get some food. She tries to get on her bike but ends up falling. As she sits on the ground, Akane begins to cry. Just as she's about to faint, Yamada appears and catches her, while Akane thinks of it as hallucination. Akamoto asks Tsubaki why Yamada isn't answering his calls, to which she tells him that he might be tutoring. Akamoto tells her that he could be preoccupied with another girl and tells her to make her move on him soon or she'll regret it. Recalling her initial encounter with Yamada when she suspected him of hacking in an online game, Tsubaki acknowledges the chance that he might discover someone ahead of her. She vividly recalls inquiring with Yamada about the unfounded rumors circulating regarding his relationship status. In response, he confided that he had never been in a romantic relationship and had never truly experienced love. He recounted an incident from his elementary school days when a girl who had developed feelings for him was subjected to severe bullying. At the behest of his teacher, he had tried to assist her, but when he couldn't reciprocate her affection, the girl suffered a heartbreaking breakdown. This experience left him with a lingering discomfort around girls ever since. Meanwhile, at Akane's apartment, Yamada tries to take care of Akane, but seeing that her condition is bad, he takes her to the hospital instead. Upon waking up, Akane begins to panic as she sees Yamada in her room. As she sneezes, Yamada wakes up and asks about her condition. Still feeling a headache, Akane decides to rest and reassures Yamada that she's feeling significantly improved, prompting him to reveal that he found her near the bicycle stand outside. Overwhelmed, Akane begins to sob, thanking him for helping her out. Seeing that he was reading her romance book, Akane asks why he rejects girls. Yamada tells her that he rejected a girl once in elementary school, and ever since then, he's been uncomfortable around girls, and that he's not kind, but Akane assures him that he is kind. Seeing his face is just like Takuma's when he left her, Akane expresses gratitude for Takuma's honesty, which helped her move on, and tells him that the other girl would have been thankful for his honesty as well. As she eats the yogurt Yamada had brought her, Akane starts to see him in an angelic light. Suddenly, Akane's legs seized up from a cramp. Coming to her aid, Yamada massages her leg to ease the pain. As a silence settles between them and their eyes meet, Akane starts to feel comfort in his gaze. As he reaches out to pick up a spoon, Akane jumps back in surprise, hitting her head on the bed, making Yamada laugh. As Momo drops groceries at her home, she finds out that Yamada had taken care of her. Asking if they're dating, Akane tells her that they're not, making Momo wonder why he would take care of her if he wasn't in love with her. As Akane prepares her meal, she starts to wonder how to repay Yamada. She then receives a message from Runa, asking if they can hang out over the upcoming weekend. Logging into FOS, she runs into Ida and the new guild member, Tsubaki. Seeing that they are in the same class, Akane enthusiastically welcomes her, excited to meet another paladin. As they hit it off, Ida chuckles at their contrasting perspectives. Heading off toward a boss, Ida sits back and enjoys the game's graphics while Tsubaki and Akane struggle to take the enemy down. They both make progress, getting little support from Ida. However, the boss retreats after the time runs out. They both instantly start to discuss strategies to take it down the next time, while Ida watches from a distance. In the real world, thinking about Akane's personality, Tsubaki realizes that she's easy to talk with. Later, while talking to Yamada, Akane apologizes for keeping Yamada up late since he has exams. Yamada admits to feeling fatigued and inquires if there's anything else she wants to discuss before he signs off. Nervously, Akane confesses that she called because she wanted to hear his voice and abruptly ends the call. She then quickly calls Momo, asking her to meet with her. The next day, at a cafe, Akane asks Momo why she was dumped, surprising Momo. Their conversation gets interrupted when Ida comes to take their order. After placing their order, Momo expresses her disappointment in Akane. She had waited a whole week for Akane's fever to subside and even missed a group date to meet up with her, hoping to hear a romantic story. Suddenly, two men who were part of the group that Momo attended stumble upon their table and sit down with them. Seeing that they need privacy, Akane motions to Ida to make the men sit somewhere else. Once the men are escorted away, Akane expresses her gratitude to Ida for coming to their rescue, while Momo is taken aback by his good looks. Akane mentions that Ida is in the same guild as Yamada, making her think that online games are better than double dates. As Ida begins to leave after his shift, Akane catches up to him, telling him that she has something important to tell him. Ida meets Akane and Momo at a park, telling her that he thought she was going to confess her love to him. Akane apologizes for any misunderstanding and tries to speak up. Momo, observing from a distance, tells Ida that she's in love with someone, making Ida playfully tease her about it. Akane is still uncertain about her past breakup and wants to improve herself, which makes her finally open up about her feelings. Ida, who knows the person Akane likes is Yamada, assures her that she's a good person and that she needs to act. Encouraged by Ida and Momo, Akane decides to confess her feelings to Yamada and heads to his residence. On her way to Yamada's house, Akane goes over her feelings and realizes that she's truly in love with him. At his house, she tries to confess, but is constantly interrupted by noisy neighbors. Yamada pulls her inside and tells her that he has to leave for cram school. suggesting continuing the conversation later. He starts to change his clothes, making Akane look away with embarrassment. During their walk to the station, Akane hesitates to confess in public. Suddenly, Yamada yanks her back from the main road, telling her not to space out, and grabs her hand while crossing the road. At the station, she tells Yamada that she'll talk to him when he is free. Yamada starts to head off but doubles back, asking if it's important, but Akane tells him to wait, so he promises to call her. At the cram school, as it begins to rain, Akamoto makes an opportunity for Tsubaki to go with Yamada alone, encouraging her to make her move. On their way back, when Yamada starts to leave, Tsubaki tries to go after him but stumbles and breaks her glasses. As Yamada helps her out, she finally confesses her feelings to him. Meanwhile, Akane, disheartened by Yamada's message canceling their talk, falls asleep. Later, as Yamada tutors Runa, Ida asks if anyone has confessed to him. Thinking that he's talking about Tsubaki, Yamada tells him that he's unsure at the moment. Lost in his thoughts, Yamada goes to Akane's workplace to apologize for missing her call. In an attempt to console him, she subtly downplays the significance of what she wanted to convey, all the while sketching her FOS avatar on his hand as a means to convey her discovery of a remarkable sword. Later, Yamada meets up with Tsubaki at their chosen spot. Gathering all her courage, Tsubaki opens up to Yamada about all the feelings that she had been keeping bottled up inside her for years, telling him that she is in love with every aspect of him. Yamada, finally being able to understand what love means, hears her out. Knowing that he's in love with someone else, Tsubaki is well aware of the changes Akane has brought into Yamada's life. Even if others didn't notice it, she did, since she's always watching him. Knowing his response, Tsubaki begins to cry when he tells her that he won't be able to return her feelings. Looking at the drawing on his hand, she realizes that he has already fallen for Akane. While everyone attends a guild BBQ party hosted by Takizo, Yamada arrives late to the gathering. Instead of relaxing and enjoying the meal, he finds a drunken Akane clinging onto him. Takizo invites Yamada to have a bite while he books Akane a taxi, but Ida suggests that Yamada should drop her off to ensure her safety. Yamada briefly steps away from Akane to purchase some water. Upon his return, he finds Akane peacefully resting in her seat. Knowing she is heavily intoxicated, Yamada playfully places the water bottle on her cheeks, causing her to jump. Akane tends to have trouble remembering things when she's drunk, so she grabs her phone to record it, even though her vision is blurred from the alcohol, to ensure she won't forget the assistance Yamada provided. As they walk through the streets on their way home, Yamada holds onto Akane's wrist to prevent her from stumbling. During their walk, Akane's right heel gets stuck in a groove, making Yamada kneel and retrieve it for her, which amazes her. As they arrive at Akane's apartment door, Yamada keeps it brief. Nevertheless, as he attempts to depart, Akane seizes his coat sleeve and summons the courage to inquire about his feelings for her. Yamada turns back, smiling, acknowledging that she has indeed cornered him, and then confesses. Yamada assures Akane that if she forgets his confession, he will come to her and express his feelings all over again until she remembers. Still intoxicated, she asks if she can call him in the morning for reassurance. Fearing that tonight's events might seem like a dream, to which Yamada tells her that he will call her first thing in the morning. The next day, as promised, Yamada calls Akane and quickly attends it since she was unable to sleep after what happened last night. Later, as Akane tells Yamada to focus on his exams, he compliments her canine teeth, calling them adorable, making Akane blush. As they walk together, Yamada looks at Akane and asks what's wrong. She tells him that she wants to hold hands with him while walking and whenever they are together. Yamada, without any hesitation, extends his hand, asking her to hold it. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel and stay tuned for more quality uploads.